All right, so let me break down this Jimmy Kimmel situation because I think a lot of people are misunderstanding it. I get why we want to protest and we're saying, hey, because Disney owns ABC. In case people don't know that, they own ABC, they own ESPN, they own Hulu. Disney's like a very big conglomerate. They're big on monopoly. Disney's really big on monopoly in the media business. They own a lot more, I think, than people know. There's more than just Disney. Disney has their tentacles in a lot of different things. So here's the breakdown. What led to him getting yanked off of air was not just Disney said, hey, take him off of air. There was FCC pushback that started it, and then it was the affiliates. When the affiliates began to stand up and say we're not going to air, that's what forced Disney slash ABC to yank Jimmy Kimmel off of air. It's the affiliates. So if we want to boycott, you have to not only boycott like Disney Plus and all the other stuff, you have to boycott the affiliates because that's where the driving force is at. It's not in the streaming services, it is in the affiliates. The affiliates drove this thing. If the affiliates was not going to have so much pushback, there could have been things ABC could have did with the FCC. There's some things that they could have fought with. But what the affiliates and that's what made Kimmel get yanked. And so I wanted just to let people know to be able to be properly informed that we also have to address to your local affiliate because majority of local affiliates are owned by like conglomerates or type of things, and those affiliates begin to yank them, and that's what turned. And with the SEC pressure, both of those things were contributing factors, and so that whole thing where they told Kimball, where don't make a donation, the public apologize. That could have been things coming from the affiliates. That could have been things coming from political things. It could have been a lot of different angles that there was like an agreed upon decision. That was the thing. Now, to be honest, on a business tip, the move I would be making, and this is just a me thing, if I worked there, if I was Netflix, I would be trying to figure out what Kimball's contract is and how we can get him out of that and get him to Netflix, or put some in his ear to say we're interested, without being contract tampering. Because if ABC lets him go, I don't believe no one in network TV will give him a shot. Even cable, I don't believe with the TBS. They had gave Conan an opportunity. They gave George Lopez opportunity too. I don't think TBS wants to go back into the late night game. I think Conan's numbers were better than Lopez. Lopez was terrible. He just wasn't a late night show host. I get why they gave it to Lopez. It was interesting, but he just wasn't it. And late night shows is a different style. You have to not only be funny, but you have to be a very great at interviewing in a comedic way. All right, because you're not really giving a serious interview. You're doing it in a very comedic way, very lax way. It's also too for promotion, advertisement for products. Things are coming down the pipeline. So and it's a variety show nonetheless. Late night shows are like the last of its kind of those old variety shows back in the 60s and 70s, and so it's just modernized up. And so I like Kimball. Kimball is very traditional in his late night format, and which I prefer for my late night shows. He doesn't go lean too heavy political. Like Colbert's a little bit too political, and that's Colbert's MO. And so, you're watching Colbert, he's going to be leaning more to the political side, and that's cool. And if I'm in that mode for it, then I don't mind watching Colbert. I think Colbert's funny at what he does. Jimmy Kimmel is more bits. There's a lot of bits, but he comes to Saturday Night Live, so that makes sense that he's going to lean on the style of writing the comedy that he's used to. For me, I don't think late night talk shows need that many bits that he does, because he does bits with his guests, he does bits before. It's a lot of bits he does. And David Letterman did bits, but not to that extent, and his bits were more like snarky. And Leno didn't really do a lot of bits outside of like jaywalking and stuff like that. But those bits were like once a week type thing. They were not like every single night he's doing a bit. Fallon relies on a lot of his SNL experience. But I would be Netflix. I'd be trying to get Kimmel, because you can pitch to Kimmel like, hey, you could be what Johnny Carson is. Kimmel has a very respectable history of late night talk show. This is something he always wanted to do. This is why you see him with David Letterman a lot on his shows and things of that nature. And Colbert does have a respect too. I'm not knocking Fallon, but I don't know. But I really, really think that they should really give Kimmel that spot on Netflix and create a show for him on Netflix. Netflix has always been a little bit different. They've always been on the edge. It's Netflix is a paid subscription, so there's no really FCC, regulations there. So it gives him that liberty of creativity. This is why Chappelle has done so much with Netflix. And when they had bought the rights to Chappelle's show, they made sure Chappelle got his money. They yanked it and they redid the contract, and they made sure Chappelle got his money. So we do know Netflix is down for the rebels, they're down for the cause. I think that this could be a big up with Netflix trying to get more live TV and more live content to take the streaming service to have a late night show that can open the door for so many other people coming down the road, and it creates more jobs, creates more opportunities, and other folk will probably fall in line. You know what I'm saying? I of course not Peacock because they have the Tonight Show, but other streaming services will probably fall in line. And so I really think that there's an opportunity with Kimmel. And I don't know if Kimmel wants to go back to ABC. I don't think, at this point of how they did him, how they did his people. And Kimmel seems like he's a pretty moral guy. He may not want to go back, and who can blame him? So these are some interesting things that we got going on here with the Kimmel situation. So we got to stay tuned to it, see how the next couple weeks and days go. With I'm pretty sure they're in constant contact. But we're gonna see what happens. And if they do cancel the show, let him have his contract, that'd be a terrible idea because Kimball's highly talented, highly gifted. And if I was Netflix, I would be hoping that thing falls through and swoop him up and quickly. ABC's not typically known for having bad negotiation tactics, so there may be some loopholes and things that they've created themselves that they can really take advantage of. So the same, this could be a good time for Kimmel.